guys, my name is Bridget Palmer. I'm a teaching artist with the Luther Burbank Center, and I also run a couple of children's theater companies called Santa Rosa Children's Theater and a Theater for Children. I teach acting, and I also do a lot of directing and playwriting. I'm so excited that the Luther Burbank Center asked me to record a series of lessons for you. My series is called Spontaneous Stories: How to Cultivate an Active Imagination for Young Actors and Writers. In lessons 1 through 4, we'll be doing a variety of short exercises as a fun way to practice developing our imagination and storytelling skills. And then in lessons 5 and 6, I'm going to help you hone a monologue, a short story from the perspective of one character, to get it ready to share with an online audience. I'm going to guide you in how to come up with stories on the spot. We call this improv, which is short for improvisation. These lessons will help you develop your imagination and your understanding of what makes a good story. You'll become more comfortable inventing something out of nothing, which is kind of like magic. It's so much fun. You can use your imagination to entertain yourself and other people, and you can also use it to help you dream up the future you want to create. Maybe you want to be an actor or a director in a movie, or maybe you want to write novels or the next great screenplay for film or TV. I wrote a play. It's called Alex and the Magic Staff. It's been produced 5 times so far, and I'm almost done with my first draft of my second play. And I can tell you from my own experience, you don't have to know where your imagination will take you before you start. You just have to be curious. Human brains have the special gift of imagination. That's one of the greatest things about being a human. Imagination feeds our creativity, and human creativity is responsible for all sorts of wonderful things, from performing arts to architecture, to new technology and engineering innovations. Like anything else, your ability to imagine gets stronger when you practice using it. As it gets easier, you're going to get more excited to see what you come up with next. You may want to write down some of your ideas as we go along, so I suggest you pause the video and go get some writing materials. Great! Let's continue with our first lesson, Elements of Character. I'm going to be asking you some questions, for starters. Remember, you are improvising, coming up with something that has never existed before. There's no right or wrong answer. Just let yourself be curious and enjoy the freedom. If you want to take notes to help you remember what you imagine, please do, but you don't have to. If it helps, you may want to close your eyes. It's up to you. Here we go. For your first character, imagine them a certain gender and age. Try to picture the person in your mind's eye. If you can't see them perfectly, that's fine. What's really important is that you've made choices, which will help you to make the next ones. I find it helpful to imagine 3 specific physical features that are easy for me to remember. It's kind of like a shortcut for my imagination. It could be hair and eye color, or the way the person walks, or the clothes they wear, whatever you want. If you need more time, pause the video. If not, let's continue. Okay, now I'd like you to walk around imagining that you are that person. Decide what your name is. Notice as you walk if any other aspects of your character become clear in your imagination. What kind of shoes are you wearing? Where are you headed? Where are you coming from? Take as much time as you want to. You may want to pause the video and write down your ideas. Now, let's use our imagination to develop another aspect of our characters. I'm going to show you a variety of adjectives, describing words. Pick one that seems interesting and imagine if your character exhibited that attitude, how would it change their behavior? After you've chosen a word, imagine in your mind's eye what your character is like with that attitude, or act it out as if you are the character, and discover how you feel and what you do. Pause the video long enough to have the experience and to write down what happens, and then turn the video back on. Great! I'm curious what you imagined your character was like behaving that way. Did any other characters appear in your story? Did your character want to be glamorous to impress a specific person? Or perhaps they were grouchy because of what someone else just did to them? Imagine some more details about your character in relationship to another person. If you want, write down what you come up with. Maybe you even imagine a dialogue. Some words are exchanged between your character and someone else. Pause the video to give yourself time for this exercise. See you when you're ready in a couple of minutes. Now you're getting to know your character better. I'll tell you what I imagined as a sample. Remember, there's no right or wrong. I'm just sharing with you what I came up with as an example of where my imagination led me. When I started this exercise for myself, I imagined an old man, around 73 years old. He's kind of hunched over wearing a trench coat. He walked slowly. His joints were stiff. He had kind of long gray hair that was a little bit puffy, as if it used to be thicker and wavier when he was younger. I saw him from the back originally, but when I tried to imagine his face, I saw kind of a big nose, a weathered complexion, blue eyes. I imagined that he felt grouchy. Why this attitude? Well, I imagined that he had very little money and he felt frustrated with his lack of options in life. I imagine that he doesn't have enough money to own a car, so he has to walk or take buses everywhere. I imagine that he's grouchy because he's always in pain, and that makes him impatient with other people. He also feels isolated. He doesn't have any close friends. They've died or moved away. Where is he coming from? Where is he going to? I imagine that this man, Harvey, has been sitting on a bus stop bench. However, the bus has not arrived on time. He's decided to walk instead, and he's grouchy about that because he has a doctor's appointment and his feet hurt. And now they'll hurt even more, and he'll be late or miss the appointment altogether. What is he saying? I didn't actually imagine that he was with anybody else originally. But if I try, I imagine that some teens pass him on the sidewalk going the opposite direction, and he mutters, "Kids these days," in a discouraging way. And one of them says back to him, "Hey, what's your problem, man?" I could go on with this dialogue, but I'd like to get back to you guys. If it would be fun for you, I invite you to jump into my imagination and come up with your own dialogue of 6 to 10 exchanges that this old man Harvey and the teens might have. If you want to, pause the video and try it. If not, let's continue. Now let's do this process of character development again, but we'll focus on a couple of new essential aspects to keep it interesting and to give you some new tools in your imagination toolbox. When you are coming up with characters, there's really no limit to the amount of details that you can imagine, except the time available and your will. You don't have to know everything about your character either. When you're performing improvisational acting on the spot, you don't have time to imagine everything about them. If you're writing a novel, you have lots of time. But either way, here's a tip for you. Use what you have. What I mean by that is your audience will enjoy your story more if you make whatever you know about your character matter. It's sort of like leaving clues that engage their imagination as well. Without realizing it, the viewer or reader will start wondering and predicting what might happen based on the information you have provided. And that will hook them into wanting to know more. Depending upon your goals and your creative instincts, you can create stories that follow common expectations of human behavior, or you can twist and turn your narrative to create suspense and surprises. Maybe you'll help your viewer imagine something that was impossible for them to imagine before they participated in your story. Through storytelling, you can use your imagination to inform people, to change minds, even to open their hearts. That's powerful. All right, let's start at the beginning again. Imagine a different character. Choose an age and a gender for them. Choose 3 physical characteristics. Pause the video if you need more time to come up with your ideas. Now I'm going to show you another technique to help you imagine details about this character. I'm going to show you 4 items. In theater, we call them props, which is short for properties, in case you don't know what that is. Basically, things. Thinking as your character would, choose one of these props to add into your story. I'd like you also to choose a strong emotion that your character feels about one of these items. It could be love or hate. It could be fear. It could be yearning, or perhaps the prop reminds them of an incident that happened earlier in their lives. I want you to imagine a short story about your character and their feeling about that prop. Your story should have at least 5 sentences. You can write it or just imagine it. Remember, when you do this exercise, think from the first person. Use the word I. For example, I wish I had, or I remember when. Pause the video and do it now. I hope that was fun for you. Hopefully, using your imagination to invent characters and come up with story ideas is getting easier for you. Let's do one more character development strategy today. After this class, you can use these imagination tools whenever you want. If you want to improve your skills quickly, you can make a commitment to yourself, or even better, to a friend, who will hold you accountable to practice imagination exercises on a regular basis. Maybe 30 minutes every day, Monday through Friday, or once a week. It's totally up to you. Okay, so for our final activity, once again, choose an age and gender that you want for the basis of a new character. And just for the fun of it, make a choice. Is your character very immature for their age or very mature? Age isn't everything, right? Now, I want you to imagine a secret that this character is keeping that is a really big deal in the life of the character. It might take you a little time to come up with this. What is the secret? And whom is it being kept from? And why is it important to keep the secret? Pause the video and take your time. Write down your ideas if it helps you, and then come back when you've come up with your ideas. I wish I could know what you came up with. This is a really fun exercise. Now, the final thing I want you to imagine today is that someone, you have to decide who this is, finds out the secret. How does your character feel about the secret getting out? Are they horrified? Quietly hopeful that maybe things won't be as bad as they feared? Are they secretly happy? You decide. For your final activity, imagine, say out loud, or write down a monologue of your character expressing how they feel at this moment. They might be thinking to themselves, or they might be talking to the person who found out the secret. Pause the video and do it. I really enjoyed introducing you guys to some ways to help you develop characters. I hope you'll tune in for the second lesson when we'll add in some more exercises inspired by the 5 senses. Take care and see you next time.